Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining in, especially after that lunch session. Before I start, quick show of hands. How many of you are aware or related or understand about platform engineering? Anyone who is aware? Okay, there are a few people, so accordingly, I'll touch upon a few things. So, before I get started, quick intro about me. I am Atulpriya Sharma and I work as a senior developer advocate at Infracloud. I am also a CNCF ambassador and organizer of CNCF Hyderabad, where we conduct in-person meetings as well. I do create content around cloud native, Kubernetes, and DevOps. And outside of work, I am a big time foodie and a travel blogger, and I do a lot of things around, based on my experiences, and I share that. You can reach out to me on my social handles for all work-related cloud native and Kubernetes. It's at the rate the Tech Maharaj on Twitter, and for everything related to food, travel, and everything else I do, it's at the rate Atul Maharaj on Instagram and Twitter. I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can connect there as well. And since I am a food blogger, let's talk food. Okay, no, let's talk tech. How many of you are from not from Kerala over here? Okay, that's surprising to see. Good to see a lot of faces not from Kerala. People, those who are from Kerala, you already know this, you would have seen this many times. This is Onam Sadhya, which is a traditional meal that is prepared in Kerala, and it is prepared on the occasion of Onam. And Onam is one of the most popular festivals here. So what you see here is, a lot of dishes, a lot of items that are put on this banana leaf. And just keep this picture in mind. The next 12 minutes or 13 minutes, I will be talking about Onam Sadhya, right? Platform engineering aside, but we will be focusing on this Onam Sadhya, what you see here. So just keep this in mind. Agenda, I'm keeping it fairly simple. It's just a 15-minute session, so I'll be just touching the tip of the iceberg because platform engineering itself is a very vast domain. So I'll talk little about platform engineering, how not to fail, and I don't think we'll have questions for the session because we are less on time, but you can definitely catch me around when I'll be outside. So to start with, how all of this began, if you go 20 years back in time, the application development process was, a developer, let's say a Java developer, he would build something, he would package a WAR file, give it to an operations guy who will put it on a physical server, and that's what the process was. But then as time passed, we wanted to make that process a little more streamlined and more scalable, so we came up with the concept of virtual machines. So now on one physical server, you had multiple virtual machines doing the same stuff, but then more faster, more scalable, more flexible. The time passed further and we came up with containers, which is further more abstraction. So if you see this entire journey, what is happening is we are reducing the time that is spent on deploying applications. But what we are also doing is we are shifting left. And the industry meaning of shifting left basically is you perform certain tasks at the start of your development cycle or a deployment cycle. You don't do things at the end. For example, testing. You don't want your customer to identify bugs on your product. You want the bugs to be identified initially in the cycle because it's cost effective as well. So that's why you started shifting left at that time. Now what was happening was when you started shifting left, the developer from 20 years from now whose main purpose was to write code, write the core logic of your application, today he's supposed to understand how to connect a CI/CD pipeline. You want him to understand something about Terraform because he has to set up infrastructure somewhere. You probably want him to understand containerization as well because he has to containerize his application. Now, where do you think this developer gets the time to actually focus on the actual code? He's doing a lot of things and not focusing on code. And that's where the concept of platform engineering came up. So as part of platform engineering, the idea here is to give your developers a standalone portal or access. Portal I'm using just for a better understanding, for a lack of better word. But you give him one single place where you give them everything that is required for them to complete their particular task. So for example, he needs a CI/CD, you need a security scanning, you need a virtual environment to be done. All of this is available on the platform and you're essentially abstracting a lot of things for your developers. So now what is happening is that the moment your developer logs on to the internal developer platform, IDP, he'll get all the services ready-made there. He doesn't need to break his head on how to figure out these things. So all probably he needs to do is provide his GitHub credentials. The source code will come up. provide probably his AWS credentials, the instance is up, and within no time, the instance is up with the required dependencies, with the required environment, with the required code, so everything is done. So in this, you see the developer is not actually focusing on figuring out how this thing is done, but he automatically gets everything done. So that's essentially what platform engineering is, the art and science of building platforms. And what I said, this use case is a very simple use case. Today, the platforms are providing use cases which are, handling day 1, day 2, day 3 operations as well, which are further more complex. Now, when you talk about platforms, each platform has a capability, which is basically these are the set of features your platform should offer. So for example, you have CI/CD pipelines, container platforms, environments, monitoring tools, security. So these are the features that your platform should support so that your developers are able to perform their entire task that they have to. And these are the other stakeholders involved in building the platform. Now if you see here, there are so many points over here when you speak about capabilities. You see so many people are involved here, which means that the entire process of building a platform is fairly complex because there are so many people, so many concepts, so many tools involved. And that is what I am going to talk about today. That is how to not fail while building platforms for platform teams. So remember the Sadhya image, like I told, I'll be talking about Sadhya and not platform engineering. So the first thing when it comes here is, imagine that Sadhya that you have most of the dishes there. What if the chef takes everything that is there in the kitchen and mixes it and prepares something and gives you? As an eater, you will not like it because that's not a good experience that you are getting. And that's not what the Sadhya is supposed to do. Because Sadhya has different elements on the plate and each element has to be distinct, has to be doing justice to what it is supposed to. And that is what I refer to as Swiss knife syndrome. So when you're trying to do something, make sure that you're focusing on one thing or few things that are required for your team rather than putting everything that you want to, that you have to. For example, your team, let's say, uses a CI/CD pipeline. You have Git as your source repo and your team is using Jenkins. Now, you as a platform team or a platform head, you decide that no, I want my platform to integrate with GitLab, I want it to integrate it with Circle CI and all the other tools. But that is not required because your team is using Jenkins. So why are you even giving efforts on adding those integrations to your platform rather than focusing on what is required? So Swiss knife syndrome is one point of failure. The other one is talking about overly complex design. Coming back to the Sadhya, now I'm a foodie, so I've seen a lot of Sadhyas and how it works. But for a lot of you, you would have seen just a banana leaf with a lot of items on it. But there's an order in which every item is placed on the Sadhya. So if you see, there are sweet items that start from the left, go to the right. The bottom lane is usually savories, and then you end it with the banana on the bottom left. So there's an order which is there. And because if that order is messed up, I mean the way the person serves, or if the person who is eating, if they don't know, then it's very difficult for them to identify. Let's say while they are putting things on the banana leaf, they just pour everything at once. Now you'll be picking up your papadam and see where is chor. You'll see where is inchupudi, where is eristeri, where is ulan. You have to find everything on the platter, but you cannot because everything is just jumbled up. So that is what you don't want your platform also to have. So what you essentially need to do here is that when you are building a platform, make sure that whatever are the required features for you, these are readily available for your developers and not hidden inside some 10-15 menu headers or somewhere. So for instance, if it's a testing team, they would want to make ephemeral environments. And when you talk about environments, you want to give variables to environment for a lot of reasons. Now you want to ensure that those options for variables is provided easily on the UI or the API wherever you have, so that the developer can easily provide the variables. You don't want them to be hidden somewhere that because of this particular thing, your developers are not using the platform. So that's overly complex design. The third one is product misfit. So imagine you order an Onam Sadhya and you get a sushi on top of it, or you get a pizza as a part of it. You don't want that because you are eating your Sadhya for a different experience. And a sushi on a Sadhya is a product misfit because that is not supposed to be there. And that's exactly what happens when you build platforms as well. You have a team, your team is working with AWS, for instance, EKS, EC2, CloudTail, CloudFront, CloudWatch, all AWS services. But your platform team was like, hey, it's easy to integrate it with Azure. Let me just build the integration for Azure and give me. Now, even as you or your team build an integration with Azure for your platform, your developers are not going to use it because this is not what they do. And that is what is product misfit is. So all the three things that we discussed until now, product misfit, Swiss knife syndrome, and overly complex design. Now all three of these can be avoided only when you interact with your developers and you involve them in the exercise of building platforms. Because until unless you don't interact with your developers, you are never going to understand what is their real requirement. You won't know whether they need a Circle CI integration, you won't know whether they need a Trivy integration, you won't know if they need an AWS integration. So the whole idea over here is that when you start building platforms, make sure from day zero you involve the developers in the building process so that you know exactly what they need, what their requirements are, and what the pain points are, right? The last one obviously is insufficient documentation. Imagine the chefs not having a recipe. What will they cook? They have no idea. Similarly, when you build your platform, make sure that you have proper documentation in place, whether it's the UI or whether it's an API based on whatever interface you are providing. Make sure there is sufficient documentation so that your developers know how to use the platform, because until unless they don't know how to use it, there is no use of building a platform, right? So those were the 4 points. I think there are like more than 1,000 points, if I can talk about how not to fail at platform engineering. But these were just few points that I had collected, and I thought that's easier to discuss in this 15-minute time frame that I got. I have some inputs from some experts. So these are the people from CNCF TAG App Delivery. I'm also part of that group contributing to the CNCF platform white paper as well. So Abby Banksler, who is a principal engineer at Critics, she says that you build for users, not for yourself, and embrace complexity for simplicity for them. So if you think something is easier for you, that's wrong. You ensure that it should be easier for your developers and not because you are building it. And create interfaces and features that you might not like, but it should be something that your users like to build a user-driven product. Second input is from Matthew Bienat. He's a customer success engineer at Humanitech. He says that a mature platform simplifies tech complexities for users, and its engineering team concentrates on well-defined customer journeys. So the keyword here is customer journey. So only when you interact with your developers, you know what their problems are, you know what their tasks are, include them in the process of building your platform, and you should be good. So to conclude, where do you go from here? A lot of you over here who are not quite aware of platforms, but now do you have some understanding about platforms? Can you quickly raise your hands? I mean, did you get some understanding about platforms now? Yeah? Cool. So if you want to learn more, a good place to start is the TAG App Delivery Group. It's a CNCF community that is responsible for application delivery. And within that, we have platforms working group that I'm also a part of. So if you join, you will probably see me around in the group as well. So that's where all the discussions around platform is happening from the CNCF side. So a lot of things go on there. It's a good place to start. Other place I would recommend is platformengineering.org. It's again a very good website to learn anything about platform engineering. They have very good articles, very good blog posts from engineers, from leaders, marketers around platform engineering. A little plug, Infracloud blog. That's where you can check. I personally write a lot of blog posts on Infracloud blog, and we have a lot of blog posts on hands-on as well. So we talk about backstage, kinetic sport. We have done hands-on demos and blog posts for that. And lastly, we do platform engineering webinars as well. So I am the host of these webinars. We do it every 2 weeks. So if you want to, I spoke about platform capabilities, and for every capability you need a tool. So there are webinars that I'm doing every alternate week where I interview folks from that one particular tool and see how you can use it with platform engineering and give a demo, so you can join there. And yeah, I think 1 minute and 26 seconds left and I'm done with this. Thank you so much for not throwing tomatoes at me. I hope you like the session. Do scan that QR code because that's a feedback form for me. Because I enjoy talking, but I also am open to feedback. I would want to know from you if this talk was good, anything that I should improve. Please scan and spend a couple of minutes to do that. And yeah, I think apart from that, if you all need to reach out to me @TheTechMaharaj on Twitter, @AtulMaharaj on Twitter and Instagram, and LinkedIn is my ID. So yeah, we have 50 seconds. Do we have any questions. I thought I'd wrap it up quickly and we'll have no time for questions, but if there is anything around. No?
I have one question. What size of companies should start looking at platform engineering?
That's actually a very good question, because if you see when you start building something, there are a lot of efforts that goes in building a platform, and that's where you need to identify whether that is actually required or not. So the maturity model that we published from the CNCF side, that exactly helps everyone figure out whether they actually need a platform or not. So if you are a very small team where a group of developers are there, and when you're dealing with a few things, maybe writing individual scripts and automating a lot of things would be much easier for a smaller team. But then as and when your team grows, it's better to have a shared knowledge. So that's how it grows. So you have individual script, every developer will probably have a script, and then if your team expands, you collate them and then eventually mature through the entire journey and have a platform. So to start with, good bash or good old bash scripts are good enough. But then if you are at a larger scale where you want to optimize your entire process, I think that's where you should have a platform. Thank you. And yeah, last.
One question.
Sure.
There's a trend towards, especially around
platform engineering, that trend towards using the Kubernetes API as a universal API. What is your insights or thoughts on it?
So I might not have a very good convincing answer for this, but some insights. I was at KubeCon Chicago last year, and as part of the platform engineering group, I saw people from AWS talking about Canoe, which is their open source platform orchestrator, if I can say if orchestrator is the right word. So they are coming up with their own tool to build platforms. There was Microsoft presenting about Radius, that is again an open source platform engineering tool. Now, every company had their own model for platform engineering, that they wanted to build something that helps you build platforms. But the final problem again would come back to that when you have 10-15 things, how would you integrate everything to one? Because essentially the whole idea is to have a single point to do everything. So that's a continuing discussion. I mean, if you join the platform engineering Slack, you will even today see there are discussions going on how to bring everything under one roof. But if I had to say, Kubernetes is there, it's the default orchestrator today, and I think maybe most of the organizations should probably figure out a way to use that as centrally and allow more plug and play with every platform or every tool that they have. I don't know if this convinced you, but that is my opinion here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah, so I think I'm done. Like I said, one last thing. I am the organizer for Cloud Native Hyderabad. We do meetups, and in case you are coming to Hyderabad, we have in-person meetups every month. So do come for that meetup. And we would be organizing Hyderabad this year as well. So if you are interested, do scan this QR code. Just give your email ID. We might have some exclusive coupon codes that we can share it to you once we open registrations or CFPs. So do help us with that. And once again, thanks to Humble and the entire team for organizing this wonderful event. And